So for Pluto, we're going to start off with a circle about the size of a baseball or an orange, but leave room underneath it to fit that same size of a shape because he's got a big nose. Paper, right at the end, and we'll get to that in just a second here. So we're going to draw in this circle. I'm going to place it right at the top of my page, pretty close to the top anyways. And go for the size you want here first. Don't worry so much about this being a perfect shape. Go for the size first, and then you can fix it. Just put something round down on your page. Unless you want Minecraft Pluto, you can make it a square then. But once you have something in place there, and you see that maybe one side is not round enough, maybe you need to make your circle wider. Or in my case, I actually want to make it a little bit smaller, because I'm going to run out of room if I draw this big. So I am going to go back in and fix the things that I don't like about this sketch. And adjust any lines that you need to. You're going to have a lot of lines, but that's part of the process. And there you go, that's the planet Pluto. Oh, sorry, we're drawing the dog Pluto. Sorry. Let's draw in a vertical guideline down the center. Dividing this in half tells us that he's facing forward here. And I'm going to bring that line down underneath, enough to fit that second circle. Now, Pluto, being a hound dog, he's got very large eyes. That way he can spot trouble before any other character. Bless you, I hope you're not allergic to dogs. His eyes basically take up the entire circle because his eyelids at the very bottom of it. Now that we have that eye line in place, we can place in these two ovals, about the size of like eggs is a good size here. You want them to tilt down and out, so they get a little bit wider here at the bottom. And you should have what looks like an upside down bunny rabbit. But this is the basic shapes of our Pluto. Now we can get to some finer details. We're going to add in another oval, right where our two ovals are meeting. This one's going to be about the size of like a large grape or a large olive. And this is something that we can keep, because what did we just draw? His nose, you're right on the nose of that one. But, I have to make the sound effect myself because the drum set's up there. I'm going to go back over this third oval that we sketched in. I'm going to make it really nice and dark. Always the things I like about it though. So if it is too wide on one side like mine is right over here, I'm going to keep those lines, but I'm going to keep the lines that I like the best. And that's just by darkening them in. This is what we call locking in our lines or locking down our shapes. So you can see now, when you look at my sketch, your eyes go straight to his nose rather than anything else. You can add in some shading here. This is just some extra credit to add some visual appeal, but it works very nicely to blend away some of the drawing underneath. Now we're going to give Pluto what's called snout lines. These rainbows that go over his nose to tell us how long his snout is. And Pluto's got the longest snout. So we're going to add not one, not two, but three of these. And they get a little bit smaller as you work your way up. Because the way perspective works, things that are farther away from us tend to look smaller. And that's the same thing that's going on right here. He's got all three bars of his Wi-Fi right now. We're going to add in his cheeks where it's being pushed up by his smile. And that's going to be from this top snout line here. So I'm going to bring up and over this bent out letter C. You can think of this as like a really bent out candy cane or rainbow shape. You just want to attach it to the snout line and sit it right on top of where your ovals are, where they start to turn downwards, just underneath that eye line. We're only going to see a little bit of his smile though, because a lot of his muzzle is blocking what we could see of his smile. But we will see the ends of them here, just on the inside of those rainbows. I'm adding in these two tilted out parentheses. You want them to tilt towards the angle of those cheeks. And then we can go back and lock in the rest of the muzzle. So right here, underneath his nose, you want to bridge the gap. So I'm just adding in one more rainbow there. And then you can look at your sketch and ask yourself, okay, is the muzzle going the same on both sides? Is it going the same way? Does one muzzle look bigger than the other on the other side? Like maybe it looks like Pluto got stung by a bee. You can fix it, or you can tell a story with your sketch. You can say Pluto likes to eat the spicy sky raisins. That's what I like to think dogs think when they accidentally eat a bee. But storytelling is a great part about art. Like, no one will ever know that that's not the way you meant to draw it if you just tell them, hey, I meant to do that. Exactly. We're going to give him an open mouth smile here. So right from the cheeks, right where they attach to the top of his muzzle, I'm going to lightly sketch down 2 lines. And you want them to get a little closer together towards the bottom, but we don't want to bring them to a point. We want to round it out. Make this a soft letter U shape. So that way we get this lower lip for Pluto. The inside of his lower lip is going to be from the smile lines here. So I'm going to make the exact same shape that I did on the outside here on the inside. So that way everything is very even across the board. However, we can't lock in his lower lip because what's usually hanging out of a dog's mouth? A tongue, right? And we want to add in that tongue. You can pick either the right or the left side for this, but add a stretched out candy cane from one side of his mouth over that lower lip. And then you want to add a second one attached to that first one, so it looks like you have a slide right now. I'm going to take that second candy cane, bring it down a little bit further, and loop it around the first one until I bring it back to his lower lip on the other side. And there you go, instant dog tongue. Whatever's left of his lower lip that's not being covered up by his tongue or his upper muzzle is good to keep as it is. And at this point, we're about halfway done with our sketch of Pluto. I will give you guys some time here to catch up and tell you a little bit more about this amazing pup. Because Pluto, he is Mickey's pet, right? Mickey is his owner, and he gets the best doggy chow because Mickey can afford it. But Pluto was not always his dog. Pluto belonged to someone else before he came to Mickey. Does anyone want to take a guess who she was? Yeah, it was Minnie Mouse. Minnie Mouse owned him first. And she had a different name for him. It was a very generic dog name. Anyone want to take a guess about that one? I heard it out there, Rover. Yeah, his name was originally Rover. I guess the Pluto Rover instead of the Mars Rover. But they actually renamed him when that planet was discovered. Because if that planet wasn't discovered, by the way, his name would have been Homer. Yeah, and then we would have had 2 Homers with the Fox merger. But Walt Disney's the one who suggested Pluto. He thought it was a really great name. So when the planet got downgraded into a dwarf planet, the Walt Disney Company actually put out a public statement saying, even though the planet Pluto's not a planet anymore, our Pluto's still a star in our eyes. Yeah, very sweet. Speaking of eyes, we still need some for our dog. We're going to add in his eyes, those big old hound dog eyes. In between the cheeks right here, I'm going to use that as a placement for where his eyes are going to sit in. And I'm going to stretch up these 2 parentheses just on the insides of my circle. It's like you're making a ring. But while we're reaching towards the top of the circle, we're going to curve it in. Because Pluto's eyes are 2 ovals that meet together here in the center. Very similar to Goofy, but unlike Goofy, he has a separation in between these 2 eyes. So we want to separate the eyes just by locking in the center guideline here. You should have something that looks like a heart shape right now, because I always think Pluto's full of heart. He is such a loyal pup to Mickey. He is always the one on the lookout for trouble before, any of the other characters in the cartoon notice. But right now, he looks very haunted. We're going to wake him up by adding in his pupils, and you can get very creative with this. You want to draw hearts in his eyes, like he's so in love with his owners, or maybe you want to draw a steak, maybe he's hungry. Or maybe the whole planet Pluto in there could fit. It definitely can. I'm going to draw in these nice classic pupils for him, just these nice tall ovals. And you're going to make these eyes really nice and dark. That is the easiest way to make it the standout feature of your sketch. But something I really love about dogs, and something that scientists have discovered, is that they actually have been watching us and noticing the way that we use our eyebrows to communicate with each other. So if you notice your dog's eyebrows are moving like a human's eyebrows, and it looks like they're thinking, and you want to give them a treat, that's why. Because they know that will manipulate you. His eyebrows are just going to be 2 rainbows that go right up and over each eye. And there's a little bit of a space in between them. You can make these eyebrows as high as you want. He's going to look like super surprised that way, maybe super excited. But dogs are very, very smart, especially hound dogs like Pluto. They keep all their smarts in this little bump at the top of their head, where all their smart particles go. So I'm just adding in a smaller rainbow in between those brows. And then we can close off the sides of his head. But right now, we got Pluto the seal. What do we do to make him a dog? We gotta give him some ears, right? And this is where you can have more fun with your sketch too, because his ears don't have to go the same way that I'm gonna draw them. But you do need to attach them to these ear muscles. So on the sides of his head, add these 2 letter C's, like he's wearing some AirPods. And you can make his ears do anything. They can be like one ear perked up, both ears perked up. Maybe they're hanging down at the sides of his head, like I'm gonna draw them here. But these ears need to be wider at the bottom than they do at the top. So you want them nice and round here at the bottom and skinnier as it gets towards his head again. So that way it looks like this long teardrop shape or a necktie shape. You can even have his ears, like one ear scratching his head like he's confused, like maybe the chipmunks are bamboozling him. Maybe his ears are flying away in the wind because him and Mickey and Minnie are going on a picnic because nothing can stop them now. That ride is very fun if you haven't been on Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. It also features Pluto, but poor Pluto, oh, poor Pluto. He gets accidentally locked in the trunk with a picnic basket. But he gets knocked out of the trunk with the picnic basket too. And any other dog would just maybe stay home with the basket because he's got all the food, right? Not Pluto. Pluto's so loyal, he makes sure that he gets back to Mickey and Minnie by the end of your ride. And he joins them for their picnic. So as you're watching, as you're looking around during the ride, make sure to take a look out for Pluto. He could be very close behind you there. He does have that golden fur, and he has darker ears. So this will really help separate him from Goofy. Don't shade the rest of him, just the ears. But that's everything that you need for your own sketch of the bestest boy ever. Anything else you want to add is extra credit. Dogs have some short little whiskers. You can add some drool. But find a good spot somewhere next to your sketch once you're all done and sign your name.